Hello, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Welcome to our HR Huddle. Hello, Jen.
Hello, Tamera.
And happy Monday, midway through February, and celebrating a day of love. And we've been doing some things for our team and setting some treats, I think. And I know other celebrations might be going on. We also know it's Black History Month, and we had our DE&I meeting, our internal convergence DE&I meeting on Friday, which was good to get back on track with our meetings. We got a little busy towards the end of the year and picked that back up. So we thought we'd combine a little bit of the topic of love and DE&I and embracing our diversity and loving our differences. And then also, how do we embrace those differences, but also find similarities? And one of the things that we do a lot of in our coaching and in our leadership programs, and we study personality differences, is talk about how can we get related and embrace our diverse approach to doing so, and interest in doing so, because some personalities are naturally curious and interested and extroverted, and others might be more private. And we all have diverse ways of our approach to work. Our lives, we've got different things going on in our lives, and just how can we share that maybe more openly and transparently, appreciate it about ourselves, and then share it with others, and learn about their differences and appreciate their differences as well. So that was something that we've been kind of thinking about, and looking at with our coaches, and looking at for ourselves in our journey of DE&I, is how do we be open and learn more about diversity in our team members, diversity in our communities. We've been on this journey. And so how can we just start doing that one-on-one in our groups, in our teams, even in our families, learning more about, our extended families and family members, perhaps. So, Jen, what would you add, to that setup?
Well, just, it is Black History Month, Tamera, and there's some big, wonderful celebrations happening right now. Erin Jackson as the first Black female speed skater to win Olympic gold in our country, and that just happened, and that's super exciting. I know a lot of accounting publications and associations and firms are celebrating, pardon me, John Cromwell's becoming a CPA 100 years ago, the first Black CPA. And so, I think that we have to love trailblazers.
Yes.
We have to love people that shattered ceilings or broke down barriers, who stepped into incredible roles and led in the past and in the present. We really aren't where we need to be in terms of diversity in this profession and this country. I'm not where I need to be in terms of embracing differences, celebrating differences, appreciating similarities despite the differences. I'm just, there's so much work to be done here. And I think that, while we can celebrate milestones and small victories, we're a long way from where we need to be. And so I know that a big subject of our recent DE&I meeting was, our internal one was, so where are you? Where are you in your journey, and what's next? And so I do think this idea of identifying one-on-one people that we can have meaningful conversations with, and really understand our differences, and find common ways that we are the same, but also common ways that we could collaborate and work together to try to make our workplaces and our world better, richer, because everybody's included.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think it's probably easier than we think it is. I think what we automatically respond to is the differences, or what we don't like, or we talk a lot about unconscious bias. We all have reactions based on our experience, our upbringing, our views, our personalities, our values, and instead stop and acknowledge that is what's triggering the reaction and being open to ask more questions. Tell me more about that or say more about that. And I think one of the ways we can do that is us leading the conversation and share about our experience, share about why we do things or why we choose. Maybe Jen, we were talking, before this a little bit about maybe food preferences. Why do we choose food preferences? Or, why do we, how do we respect, like Jewish traditions on Friday nights? And we have to know about these things. And so if we have our own preferences, we can share those. And I think sometimes we feel like I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to have to explain myself. Like we have all this inner dialogue and chatter that goes on instead of, if I share about that, that opens it up for somebody else to share theirs as well, and maybe makes it easier, or at least opens a door for them to be able to talk about those things.
Tamera, I was talking with a group this morning, and we were discussing differences and similarities. And I was telling them about that kind of a game, I guess, icebreaker that we do sometimes. It works best if you do it like in small groups on Zoom or in person. It's fun to do in little huddles if we're not scared of a virus. But it's where we put people together and we say, identify 10 things that this group of 6 people has in common. 10 specific things. And it can't be, I'm a
in
CPA.
like less than 5 minutes. Like we give them a
Oh,
timeline
yeah,
too.
like 3 minutes.
Fast. Yeah, 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, because we could figure it out if we had 3 hours.
Right.
But we also take away things like I'm at this workshop, or I'm a CPA or consultant, or that kind of thing. I went to college, or whatever. What might be the common theme of that
Easy
group,
things.
whatever group it is. We just say no, these are not counting in the 10 things. And it's so funny because what they come back with when they report on it is so amazing. Where they went in such a short time. And if you're in a in-person workshop and you walk around as the facilitator and listen to what they're doing, they're yelling things like, I'm an only child, and I only love cats, and whatever I use an Android. Everybody else looks at them like, yeah, not that one. So whatever it is, but it's so fun to see them come up with 10 things that are real, and they remember each other later because of those 10 similarities. I think we focus so much on the differences, and I think differences are important to understand. And I do know I need to understand ways people are different than me better. One of the ways I'm different than many people is that I don't drink alcohol. I did drink alcohol. I tell people I got all that out of the way early. And I quit drinking when I turned 30. I just decided that I was healthier, better off without it. So I haven't had a drink in a long time of alcohol. I do drink water and coffee and a whole bunch of other stuff, but yeah, coffee and coffee. And so not everybody knows that about me, and I don't necessarily brag it up or whatever, disclose it, however you want to look at it. But occasionally it creates a little awkwardness where somebody wants me to come to a wine tasting, or they send me a bottle of alcohol for a gift, and I don't, that's on me. I didn't make that difference known. I didn't make I didn't tell my story, apparently. And those people felt related enough to invite me to something or to give me a gift, but I didn't make sure they understood some of the ways that I am fundamentally different than they might be. And so it's a little bit on us, to ask people, to say, how are the ways, let's find similarities, and then let's find some differences and talk about those both. I think that would be such a cool way to start out relationship development.
Well, and that's one of the things that we've talked about. And I think we've talked about it in the HR huddles, and we talk about it in our coaching, is learning. We challenge our managers and partners that are in our programs or that we're coaching, or even in leadership roles. Tell us 2 personal things about the team, the people on your team right now. And sometimes they struggle doing that. And it's just a matter of going and finding out, like, what did you do this weekend? Caroline's here with us and she shares that she crochets. And so she's going to go on a mission because one of our other colleagues shared about the flowers that the Olympics crocheted that they're giving away. And so now she has a new quest. But it's those kinds of bonds. And if we're not sharing those kinds of things, like, go find out. It also can help us support people, better if we know what's happening in their lives as well, which we've talked about before too. But it can be as simple as, learn two things. And maybe it's learn two things every time we talk to them. Some of you go, you're kidding me. Like, that's a lot. 10. When they say you said 10, Jen, some people probably go, you're kidding me. I'm lucky to learn 3 in a year. But if we challenge ourselves, we can go learn and we can go find out. And it does give us places to support each other, or resources, or did you knows, or just bonding. We can, cross lines because we can bond and, share different views or insights, or have something that we like together, that we're interested or curious about, or want to know more about. How do we do that? So we think that's important, to have that relatedness on our teams, with our clients, and beyond.
And find ways that those differences, cause roadblocks, and where there isn't parity, and where there isn't inclusion, and where there isn't feelings of equity, and where I don't feel a part of my firm, or I don't feel a part of this profession, or I don't feel a part of this association I belong to, or this department that I'm part of, or included in my engagement because of this. And to invite people to share those places where they feel excluded or diminished, or not given equity. And what can we do? What could each of us do to help each other in those places where we don't feel like we're having, real equity?
Yeah. And it could be in meetings, it could be in promotions. We have to pay attention to it in our new hybrid environment, that we don't have it be less than if you're working remote or in some hybrid, which we've had to pay attention to before the pandemic, but now we really have to pay attention to it because it's not going away. And so those are just some simple places, we can look. And then, what are some, places that might be because of different skin color that we didn't know about? I don't have a view to it because I'm not experiencing it, but that doesn't mean it's not real and that it's not happening. And we need to be able to talk about those things. We need to be able to share, hey, that's not how it is over here with me. And the only way we can do that is to ask. So, to find those things out. You're shaking. You're
Well,
did I trigger something?
yeah, I mean, I feel sort of inept here because I was feeding my husband and just like a group of my dad and a group of unattached men who wanted to watch the Super Bowl while their spouses and significant others did other things, and I was the cook at my house for that. And so I spent most of my Super Bowl in the kitchen, honestly. But I watched, across the way, and I did catch a commercial or part of a commercial that just, I need to go find it. I haven't had a chance to find it. So I'm going to speak, with partial knowledge. But there was a commercial in the Super Bowl, and I think it was Google's picture, camera, maybe, or I really don't know what they were advertising. So that's the worst kind of commercial watcher, the one who can't tell you the exact thing that was being sold. But it was about dark skin not being photographed the way light skin is. And how, one of the voiceovers, what made me stop and snap and look up was the voiceover that said, I never had a good school picture. And it just, I could cry about that.
Yeah. And we've never experienced that. And to hear that others are, it's heartbreaking. And how do we pay attention to it and even think about it and be aware of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally uncool.
Well,
just totally uncool and unbelievable, actually, that it's just, you think about that. What is that? Is that invention? Invention is disclusion by invention. What is that? So I'm going to go find that commercial because I want to know who's solving it.
Mhm.
Like,
Well, and
I'm
who's
mad at
naming.
myself because if this gets play, I would like to give them play. Maybe Caroline will find it while we're talking and, uh,
We put
chat
a link
it
to
in
it.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
put it in the comments because whoever it is deserves recognition for working on it, for crying out loud. But, I wished I'd have known it sooner.
Mhm.
I would have gone to go to work at it, trying to figure it out at my own elementary schools and stuff with my kids.
Right.
It's just and I feel like an idiot that I didn't know it.
Right.
Also, there's a big part of me that's like, wow.
Right. Well, and naming it. I think one of the things, Jen, that got you is that somebody's naming it. And, I think that's one of the things you and I have talked about before.
Yeah.
Like, we were raised, you don't talk about skin color. It's rude or inappropriate. And that's actually the opposite of what we should be doing. And so we have to name it. We have to talk about it. I think, you and I both experience it with our parents, and just the disabilities our parents have, and accessibility to medical help, and views of our parents as we're trying to get help for them, and how they're listened to, and we have to go interpret, and like, that's frustrating and very personal, but we're like, how is this even happening, and what can we do to solve that, so that
Yeah.
selfishly our elderly parents are heard in a different way, but also just elderly in general. So I mean, it's all over, and we're taking the blinders off, and we're naming it, and we're saying, how do we solve this? And one thing at a time, and that's frustrating too. I know, because it's like I want to fix everything all at once.
Well, and I mean, maybe we're not the ones to fix it, but just to acknowledge it is huge, and to give people the space to tell their truth and to express the things that don't work for them because of their who they are. And
Hmm.
thank you, thank you, thank you, Caroline.
Yep.
It was Google, so I'm happy. I mean, I saw their logo, so I felt like it had to be them. But so some sort of uh, you know wonderful camera photography, hopefully, and hopefully that'll solve that forever. I mean, that should never be that that something that should be equal to all diminished some, and just I that's awful to me. So
Yep.
anyway, I on this day of love, you know, we just need to love those differences and love the people who have the courage to express them, and love each other while we're learning about them. And as much frustration and hurt as has been caused by discrimination and by ignorance, for those that have been the victim of that, for all who have been, um, tolerance of the people who don't get it and are wanting to learn,
Hmm.
like love of that and patience, but also like teaching, sharing your truth, telling your story, so that it could be heard and understood and solved, and or at least embraced in some way. So I love this subject. I think this was just perfect for Valentine's Day, Tamara. Even though I broke down, which I'm not going to be happy about later. But we have a saying at Convergence. I hope I'm not the one that cries.
Thank you for taking it this time. I'll take it next time.
Or maybe sometimes we try to get someone off camera to break down. So today it was me, no problem. And I mean, I'm just obviously I still have more to read about and learn about there, but I've got to figure that out. I got to see if there's something I'm supposed to do to help there.
Yeah.
For
Well, and
sure.
that's a good point, Jen, as we wrap up here. I think it's a journey. And that's part of that patience you were talking about, patience with ourselves, patience in conversations, patience in our workplaces, in our society. Just how do we keep it moving? And conversation is the first place we keep it moving. And just really embracing and noticing the differences and loving the differences and learning from them. So, and then saying, now what can I do with that? and maybe I solve it. Maybe I'm more enriched. Maybe it opened doors for other people. I don't know where it will go, but I think that openness and that dialogue is the first step. So we hope you have a good Valentine's celebration today. We hope you have a great, great week. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So have a good one. Happy Valentine's Day and take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.